And I hope you had much fun with Kage and Cheetah there with his war stories or there from the Anthrocon and of course also Eurofurence in the past. But right now we are here in 2020 and this year was a little bit different than pretty much all the last. So what we are seeing here is pretty much what is the virtual convention is like. So how will it actually be? How will it be in the future? Where will it develop? To answer this question, we invited some very, very awesome people from all over the fandom and pretty much the people who invited you beforehand for other kinds of virtual conventions. I would like to introduce you first to all the people who are currently here and then would also give them the chance to talk a little bit about their own experience and their own convention. Since we are working with Eurofurence together, I would like to start with them. These are the people to my right. This is Ramajo and Hayu. These are the heads behind all what you currently see behind us, and probably what you've seen over the last few days. These are the insane people who actually put the idea in their mind to build a whole Astral hotel, just that you can enjoy Eurofurence, or at least any other kind of virtual convention in the Astral. And they put so much detail into that they used a lot of time for that. But I think you've seen that just a few hours ago, and I'm very, very happy to have them here on the talk today. The next one I would like to talk about is someone we usually also worked a lot often together, and that is our friends from the British Isles. This is Confuzzled, or in this regard, the Virtual Confuzzled.
Hello.
We have here someone from this very moment, that is G-Shap.
Hi guys!
The one who did the Virtual Confuzzled and made everything behind it possible. They were one of the very first physical conventions that gone to the virtual extreme and tried to actually have a convention even during these dire times. But they were not the only ones. There were, for example, also a convention that was completely just for the virtual reality. And these people just nailed it, even when they were pretty much just the very first. Of course, I am talking here about Virality. I am talking here about Dalton and his team who managed to work everything out what a convention usually does completely in VR chat. And they did it a few months even before we started. And they made a beautiful convention with more than 1,000 people joining in VR. But last but not least, we have also another physical convention with us, the one who did an online convention just a few weeks ago. Of course, we are talking here about Virtual Anthrocon, and I very much welcome here Freeze Badger as the one who did the Virtual Anthrocon and pretty much the whole experience with VTR chat, a Discord, and of course also a Twitch stream. Hello there, Freeze.
Hey, how are you?
I am very, very fine. Thank you very much. Good. In that regard, I hope you have at least a good idea who's actually there. I would now give Freeze Badger the first chance to actually talk about how Virtual Anthrocon actually came to be.
Oh, God. So, where do I start with Virtual Anthrocon? So it kind of came out of a Skunksworks project. It came out a couple months before Anthrocon that everything was basically closing down for COVID. The con was, canceled. We weren't really thinking of doing anything video related. But a kind of group of people on the AV team said, well, we have the technology to do this virtually. And we're, we don't not want to do something. So let's do something virtually. So a couple months before the convention, we just started planning and going from there. So it eventually we brought everyone else in and we, got it officially sanctioned by the powers that be to call it, Virtual Anthrocon. But it kind of started as this small thing, which I think is a little bit different from everyone else's, where they kind of had the backing of every other con from the start.
I think there's someone who can talk pretty much everything about that as well. So I would like to ask our friend from Confuzzled if they had an easier time with their virtual convention.
Oh God, no. So we basically went from trying to get everything ready to release for a physical convention. Then COVID unfortunately did shut us down. We had 6 weeks to go from going from basically nothing to having a full virtual convention. So I have to say I'm very proud of the team that pulled that together. And if any of them are watching, thank you so much again. You have my eternal praise for every little bit of work you guys did. But we went from having an announcement. We've all the staff and the crew found out together that Confuzzled at the Hilton Metropole in Birmingham was actually cancelled. And after that, we kind of got together and kind of said, could we do this? We've seen a few other people talking about it, what was going on. And then we kind of had a chat with the directors. We had a chat with all the other powers that be. And we kind of said, yeah, let's do something, even if it's a bit crap, we could at least try and mark the weekend and mark Confuzzle 2020 in some way. We just had to do something. We do something for attendees. We're part of the community. We wanted to make sure the community got some part of us as well.
Understandable there. Thank you very much. So in that regard, as you hear, these people didn't have really an easy time. But how about our virtual friends? How about Virality? How was actually the start for you? Since I think you were the ones who started from pretty much nothing at the beginning. Am I correct there?
Yeah, Virality Online experience started from discussions within the VR furry community. There was definitely some disappointment due to the cancellations in the spring from physical conventions. And just our community was just having discussions, every night or so about wouldn't it be cool to bring people into this game that, in my case, I played for years. So I thought it would be no better time to, this VR chat is what brought me into the furry fandom, and I figured there'd be no better time to bring the fandom to VR chat. And we only expected a few hundred people to show up when we first started planning it, and from the time we started planning it to the time we actually held the convention, VR chat was definitely picking up popularity in the furry fandom, and our expectations were totally exceeded.
That is absolutely great, and yes, we heard about it. I think it was something more about 1,000 people who actually joined your world, or rather worlds that you put together.
Yeah, we had over 2,600 people who registered as an attendee, and our charity, Save a Fox Rescue, we were able to raise over $8,000 for them. So
that is absolutely amazing. Also, thank you very much from our end for that. But yeah, how is it actually for our other friends who also do somewhat of a virtual convention here? So I would like to know how actually the idea started behind Eurofurence.
So I had the idea years ago when I got into VR, which was basically when we had the vanilla Vive. And before that, I was also one of the first people who had the DK1, the development kit. And already with the development kit, it was amazing that you could finally do stuff that you cannot do in real life. And then really when VRChat started, it was clear that this is a place where you can finally be yourself. I mean, people try so hard with fursuits to become their own characters, but the real world just has limitations that are just simply making it impossible for some people to be their character because they cannot change the size. And for example, or they cannot change completely be a species that is I don't know, super small or one that can fly. So flying was always something that got me into VR. I wanted to fly around and do that because I cannot do it in real life. And I was kind of disappointed that when I got into VR, that so many people just didn't follow, and just I expected the whole furry fandom to instantly go into this and go full in, and that didn't happen. And so I wanted to have virtual events, and when the COVID thing started, then all of a sudden VR got a huge rise in numbers of users because it's a great way to meet your friends all over the world, and you don't need to travel, you don't need to harm the environment. And you only have one-time costs that that are gone if you like travel a few times to friends overseas, and that's like more expensive than just buying a headset. So it was clear that this is something that we need in our community and also in other communities, and we didn't have that as an event. So I wanted to organize something, and obviously I'm not a 3D modeling person. So when Hayu joined the team, because he has a lot of knowledge about the 3D stuff, and he's a professional 3D developer, he took over the role of the 3D modeling department, and I kept the role of organizing everything and assigning tasks to people and making sure like we get pictures from the hotel, we travel there, we get the audio in, and so on. Keeping all the people together, and also I did most of the programming stuff because that's something I'm good at. And first people asked like, what do you want to program in VR chat? Well, there isn't much, right? Well, that's wrong. So we spent months on coding the elevators, for example, or adding a keyboard that you can type on physically so that deaf and mute people can also communicate in VR chat, because VR chat doesn't allow chatting. So that's kind of stupid, yeah. But we wanted to have all of that, and those are like huge goals, and you should maybe focus on building a very small world, but we just wanted to make it really big. And then we got more and more people on the team, and amazing people joined. Lena Wolf also joined really early in the process. We got people like Kaiju and Jorofox who like joined us for play testing, designing stuff, and so on. We got Freeborn on the team who did help with the photogrammetry calculations. Just so many people. I cannot mention them all even in this short time. So that's why we did our 2-hour stream, to give them a bit of the credits. But we have so many people who joined us, and then it became clear we can actually pull this off. I mean, it was terrible to do this in that small time frame, but the results are in now, and it looks amazing. And I'm so proud of my team who worked so hard on that.
I think a lot of people actually can here pretty much feel this, especially the time issues you usually have, especially with some kind of conventions. I think, for example, since you're starting with already your experience that you had building this convention, Dalton, I think you also had very interesting experiences putting Virality together with people.
Yeah, absolutely. When we started to see our registration numbers just skyrocket, it was really the week of the convention. We ended up having to re-architect the way we would operate the convention, because we had, it was just going to be a small sort of gathering of the people that we sort of gotten to know over the years in VR chat. So the last minute changes that we had to make to accommodate the massive, amount of people that were attending were definitely hard, but well worth it. I think that we were able to show that VR chat and VR is a place where we can hold events like we are somewhat used to in at a physical convention, and that sort of feeling of events taking place, gatherings, meetups, panels, that can be brought to this this virtual world.
Okay, thank you very much for that. In that regard of the experience, but I think also the physical conventions can tell something about that. What do you think, Breeze?
Oh, sorry, what?
Come on, you should follow him.
I was listening to the question and then it suddenly was me. So I think Virtual Anthrocon kind of struggled to integrate VR chat with the video stream. I'm come with a video background, so a lot of the energy and time was spent towards the YouTube stream. We were putting all of our events on that way. We were doing, people filming themselves. And I think kind of last second, we realized that we have this cool new platform, VR chat, that we weren't really doing anything with. So we're all friends with Fur, and we basically were talking with him, and he had made Spirit of Pittsburgh Ballroom, which is where the main events for Anthrocon happens. And he put up the video screen of the events that were going on, and we officially got the blessing to call it Virtual Anthrocon in there. But I think, we kind of didn't think much about VR chat until the last second. And I think that kind of, hurt us a little bit, that we just had this technology that we weren't really using much. So, it's definitely a cool way to see friends that, you might not be able to see in person, either through cost or, global pandemics going on.
Absolutely understandable. But yes, you were also one of the cons who, were a few weeks ago. And I think also for you, time was actually of the issue. And I think your team would have really been like to do more, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I think it was a time and personnel issue. We didn't really, I don't exactly know the timeline of virtual conventions, but there hadn't really been a ton so far. So we kind of decided to just go with what we knew. We knew how to put on a video broadcast because we do it every year in person. And we just we relied on another team to do the VR chat aspect. And we did integrate some VR chat panels. One went quite well, one went a little less well. And I think we kind of learned from our mistakes there. Yeah.
Understandable. How was it actually for you, G-Shep? Since you had absolutely no virtual reality at that point, was it even discussed with you, or was it rather like, please leave it as small as possible because there was not enough time?
Well, that's actually, it's a very good question, because we were talking about English is a language. We did see some of the stuff that like Hayu and the other guys were doing with like building this hotel, and we're like, okay, what are the barriers to entry to this, and how long do we have, and what can we do? What can we pull off at the highest quality possible in the shortest amount of time that we physically had? And we did think about it, but if you've ever been at the Hilton in Birmingham beside the NEC, it's quite a complex building. Even the most simplest of rooms are quite complex. So that kind of went out the window. So we're just kind of looking at some of the options. And I think one of the big questions we asked ourselves at the start is, what is our baseline on this? And there really isn't one. There isn't a baseline when you come to doing a virtual convention, at least not this year anyway. So we kind of just thought to ourselves, right, if we do it badly, at least then we become the baseline for bad. But if we do it well, we at least become our own baseline, because it just hadn't been done before. So just kind of, what can we do? What can we do to make it look good? What can we do to make it feel good? And like I said, we have an amazing team of people who worked on this, both from our attendees who did some of the attendee run events, to straight through to the video team, who I'm eternally indebted to, and I owe so many drinks to when we get back to a physical convention. And everyone else, like from the directors down to the ADs and stuff like that on the team. It's just amazing about the kind of level of work that we got from such a short amount of time. And having to change, I think we went through about 4 or 5 different iterations of how we wanted this to work and to get it to work.
That is absolutely understandable. We feel you very much there, because even if we had a little bit more time than you did, there was a lot to do, and also what actually we can do in that time frame. But we are also already talking about the experience that we have during when we're actually setting things up. What was the experience you had when the convention was actually going? What was maybe something that you really like to remember about it?
Is that at me? So I think one of the amazing things was the interaction. There was kind of, I know a lot of people kind of like, oh, I don't want to watch this because it's, it makes me sad that Confuzzled isn't happening. And then when we kind of were able to get people over that barrier, it was the interaction of people. And a lot of people would know Confuzzled as kind of, we like to have our jokes, we like to have our in-house jokes and stuff like that. And they were being generated even throughout the virtual convention. And there was talk and chat, and there was everyone seemed to have a good time. And that's what I really got from it. And, I've been working on the events team now for 5 years for Confuzzled, between crew and staff. And I think everyone who's worked at a physical convention will say, it's hard, it's tiring, it rips you open, But then at the end, you're like, we did this. This is ours, and nobody can take that away from us. And it's a very hard feeling to describe. It's just having that community, having all those people come together, and having all those people kind of say, you did this, and you pulled this off with basically nothing, is quite an experience that I don't think I'll ever forget.
Understandable. Dalton, was it the same experience for you when you actually did Virality? Or was there maybe something else you would say that was the best part you had with the Eurocon?
It was definitely a whole lot of convention, not a lot of sleep. I remember the best feeling that I think I had was I finally got a chance to step away from the computer, put on my headset, get into the convention and experience it. And one of the things that I heard was, we come here, some of us almost every night, to VR chat, and it is kind of like a convention. We get to socialize with our friends. We get to have discussions in an environment that feels very much like a convention. But one of the things that I heard about Virality was that Virality felt different. It felt like something appreciably different from any other night in VR chat. And that to me was what made it feel worth it, made it feel like this is something worth doing.
Thank you very much for that. I think something like this we can pretty much share as anyone who actually did some kind of convention there. But how is actually for someone who built the place? So Hayu and Ramaju, can you already tell something that was standing out for you? Something that made the whole experience so far absolutely great?
And the experience of building, I'm not sure if that is great. I mean, we had a great team with great people, and I honestly just enjoyed the evening. Like every evening you would just log onto Discord, and then you would sit in with the same people, and everyone shares their screen and they're all working on the project together. That was very fulfilling. But I think the frustration that you have when you code for VR chat and nothing is working, that's not always very positive. But obviously, if you see the goal, so for us it was always like we are artists, right? So the moment when you publish it, when you just show someone your work, that is the important part of it, and everything else is just suffering.
I mean, when it comes to the con itself, I mean, we've still been very busy throughout this time, and I've only really had like a one moment here to relax, and you've had even way less time to relax than I have. But it's when you start working on something like this, you have this sort of top tier, this is the highest, best thing I could possibly imagine my work doing. And you think of this sort of hypothetical situation that is like the best case scenario, and it's past that. Like, it's way better than that. When I go out and I see people chatting in groups, you're worried that when you create something like this, it's just going to become trolls running around and screaming and doing shaders everywhere, and none of that really happened. It seems to just be really chill. A lot of very curious people coming in because we started to rise up the charts on the main VR chat menu and stuff like that, and yet it went really smoothly, it seems, for the attendees, and people are just really enjoying themselves, meeting new friends. I'm seeing people in groups just friending each other, having conversations, having deep conversations sometimes, and I think a lot of people, including us, are very surprised at how much it really is like a real con. Obviously, there are some aspects that we can't do as a virtual con, but there's probably a few aspects that we can do that in real life just, as you said, isn't possible. And I think, you as a creator, you sometimes get messages from random people you don't know who have been touched by your work, and you realize that people appreciate your work a lot more than you realize. And this is the kind of project where if you feel like what you're doing is righteous, that it's that kind of work where people will really, really appreciate your work. And it's just been amazing to see everyone having a great time here.
Yeah, so like every person made a different part. For me, it was a lot of coding on top of organizing stuff. And I also made some features that I didn't expect that people would just love so much, like because it's physical and like pushing buttons, and then people just post a video of them like pushing buttons for 2 minutes, and they have so much fun. It's like it's not nothing you would expect. You would maybe expect some like people who know how hard coding is, and you would expect from them maybe a few nice words, but not like people loving the immersion factor of all of that. And it's just great to see that, and to ultimately like bring more people to this platform, and also like push them to VR, because we all need to go to VR. VR is the only place where I can be like I want to be, and so everyone needs to join in, you know.
Yeah. I think we can have a talk about that in a few moments, but still I would like to have Freeze Badger on this topic.
Oh yeah.
If he also was actually got messages by some random people that wasn't just me.
So actually, a lot of our content creators got messages basically saying that was incredible, that was great, and we were basically paying attention to the YouTube chat as this event was going on, and basically we just had tons and tons of people wanting to know who was behind it, and how they can show thanks. I think we had a couple thousand people watching at times, and it just. I personally didn't get too many direct messages from people, but I just saw on Twitter I think our hashtag didn't quite get trending, but during events it would scroll by to a point where I couldn't read it. And it just is kind of a neat thing to see so many people, it's one thing if people I know are talking about it, but when people I don't know start talking about it, I know it's actually kind of spread and it's something really good.
I think this is absolutely understandable, and it's something that we actually also enjoyed. So I think that Eurofurence Online, for example, was not that trending, but we had still a lot of people who, for example, also joined Discord there. Anyhow, since we are talking about good experiences, I am pretty sure you had also pretty much the opposite. So this is now the war hour. I would really like to hear what you had in your very nice conventions that didn't work whatsoever, but maybe made you laugh now that you have a little bit of time after the convention and could relax from that. I'm just throwing this in the middle of the room where I see who's picking up at the first, because usually those are the people who are suffering the most about it.
Yes, here, war stories. We have so many war stories.
I could run about placing spotlights.
Placing the spotlights. But Udon is one big war story of VR chat. Like, you think something works and it just doesn't work, and they don't tell you it's not implemented, it just doesn't work. So it runs fine in editor, and then you upload it and it just doesn't work at all, because apparently some features just only work in editor. That's like, I could talk for hours about those issues.
Experimental feature if we're trying to use yours.
Or when you want to do something simple like calculate a distance to a plane, like point to that, and you realize that is not exposed, and you feel like the first person on earth who needs to make that as a low-level implementation. You Google that and you find abstract articles with a math involved, but nobody has like an implementation into C#. You just have to make that up. That is horrible. But I think the real issues we had was always like, we had deadlines that we mostly made ourselves, and really close to the deadline, nothing was working. Like every deadline that we had, the dance contest, nothing worked. The time we wanted to publish this convention, nothing worked. And every release had that moment of nothing working, us just working like in the middle of the night and just trying to fix it. And Bakery would just tell us that we don't have enough GPU RAM, so we don't have the really good graphics cards, basically. We just have the consumer grade stuff, and that is not enough GPU RAM for such a large scene to render. So everything just started to break. We have amazing pictures of everything being red or white or blue or green, and just everything having spots. And in the end, what we did is we baked it at a very low resolution kind of thingy. Yeah. Lighting, yeah. So I would just say low resolution. And then our plan was, and that was my part, just fixing it by hand manually. So I spent forever to just manually finding a pixel in a light map. and by guessing, changing the color and seeing if it works fine. And I have so many spots in this area which are like I couldn't solve it, and I'm like, oh no, oh no.
Yeah, the lighting for the whole world is just a big texture that gets generated by a bunch of ray tracing, and we just kept running out of memory, or like, there'd be some spots that would just turn green for no reason, and yeah, you ended up having to go and just in Photoshop and just just paint it.
Yeah, and another thing is that we do have quite a lot of users reporting us issues that are not really issues. But also a lot of people expect us to moderate VR chat. Like, we get also often insulted by people who make us responsible for stuff that happens in VR chat, which is obviously not our problem because we are uploading the world and then it's VR chat. Like we have nothing to do. We cannot even moderate the world. I tried to ban someone yesterday and it wouldn't allow me to. So yeah, people have mods, So
Okay.
it's
only whitelisting, am I correct?
What do you mean? No, that's a different story. But normally, like people, when people misbehave, because our event is fully public, that's a little bit different. Like Ferality tried to keep it behind a website where people need to register. We didn't have that, so we wanted to go the other way and include more people also around the furry fandom and like include everyone to just join and watch what we are doing here. So that was completely open. And obviously, you also attract some people who just want to run in and cause a lot of harm. But that wasn't really the case. So I'm really glad.
Yeah, it went better than I thought it would. Way better.
Yeah, it worked well. It's normal VR chat after all, right? I mean, people manage to make private instances if they need to or organize themselves. You don't always need to protect people because they play VR chat every day. Mm-hmm. And they know how to protect themselves. And also it's virtual. I mean, what's the worst that could happen is that VR chat crashes, right?
Well, I think we can imagine quite bad things. However, you just mentioned here Dalton and Ferality about how they actually managed something like this so they could provide a safe space so they don't run into, for example, the same war stories that you did. Dalton.
Yeah, so one of the things we considered in building Ferality was what makes a convention a convention? What's different from that, from just a hotel full of people? And in addition to the events and activities that go on at a convention, I think a lot of us like attending physical conventions because it is that safe space to meet other people in the fandom. It's a place where you go in, you have an expectation that anyone that you talk to is most likely going to be at the very least friendly, if not, someone that you could really share a lot in common with. So making VR chat, which is, it's just kind of how it is. Sometimes we can be lucky and skirt by, but sometimes there's instances where we want something to be a bit more private. We want something to be a bit more dedicated just to the fandom. We built a web portal to manage our instances and required a registration to attend Ferality. And I guess while that did work really well at creating, a very much so fandom sort of sub series of instances within VR chat, I do have one horror story about that though, and that was that when we prepared everything for Friday for our first night, and one of the things that we ran into was, especially due to the massive amount of people that had, signed up at pretty much the last 2 days, we weren't able to process through things fast enough to keep up with VR chat. So we were being rate limited by VR chat, and we really have to thank them for not only helping us find a bug in our process for monitoring the amount of players in every instance to keep things balanced. That was another issue we had early on. but also for really assisting us with bringing this massive amount of people into a platform that was, really designed for much less. So we were definitely able to once the convention was running, we were able to get things working smoothly and have our instances balanced out to that sort of sweet spot of about 30 players. But early on, it was quite the panic.
Understandable. Since this
it's
was
a different.
Yes?
It's a different approach. I think that we are both running, and I also think like I understand the privacy aspect. Like you want to have only people from the con, but the way the VRChat API is also like the web portal is limited at that point is that it's hard to go with your friends to the same instance. So there was something that I personally wanted to have. Like I want to go to con with all my friends. So by having public instances, or at least friends instances, that way, like if everyone is able to make their own instance, basically, you can go with your friends and you can join your friends and see who's online. And that's something that would be very hard to make with a web portal. That's why we didn't want to have any kind of web portal.
It's funny you mentioned that, because the bug that we had found was in our attempt to solve that issue. We figured out a way to name our instances from within VRChat, and the issue was so very small. It was just we had a dash in the name to separate out the ID from the numbers. So on our web portal, every instance had a name. So, Ferality 1, Ferality 2. And that way you could coordinate. Well, because we decided to have a dash in our name, unfortunately that caused an issue with VRChat, and that was quite the headache. So definitely credit to the VRChat team for helping us out with that one. I was very fried by the time we were working through that issue.
Thank you very much for that. To be honest, that was a rather smooth war story. So I would like to ask, how is even that smooth also for the physical conventions?
One more time. I didn't hear the question. Sorry.
Yeah, it dropped out for me over here.
Yeah, it dropped out
Okay.
midway through the question.
Sorry for that. I want to ask you if it was also fairly smooth for you, and your war stories also had rather good ends there.
Gotcha. So I think a lot of our problems were more kind of communication rather than technical. We had all the expected stuff. We had videos that we were exporting literally seconds before they were going to get aired. So we'd, plug in a hard drive and hit play on it and just, hope that things worked out. But I think a lot of it was just trying to get a lot of different people to work together that normally don't have any need or practice working together at a con. We had to figure out how to get charity to work, which I don't know if we ever quite did. We tried our best to integrate all the other departments, figure out how to spin from programming to an actual con to a in-person con. I can't really think of any in particular major problems other than just some technical ones. We had the usual, I don't know if you guys watched during Foxamore's stream, Pepper was playing it out and he hit the wrong button and suddenly Pepper was there and there was no more Foxamore, which we made a joke about in closing. But overall, I think we planned everything to death so much that there wasn't any kind of a big major thing that was a real showstopper. We had some trouble choosing a platform, but that was really about it.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. How was it for Confuzzled?
So we might have a few war stories coming up right about now. I didn't want to overpower anybody. So we had one of the first big ones was I'm not going to mention any names. But we did have one team that was beamed into was beamed into Confuzzled, who I don't think they've done a little bit of broadcast stuff, but it's mostly been through like Zoom and like fairly out of the box solutions. So it was myself, Martha from the video team, and we spent basically a whole day with them trying to, one, fix their Wi-Fi because their Wi-Fi didn't work, two, show them how everything worked, and you know, it just kind of kept spinning out from there. But it was just really nice. It was really cool just to have those people on. They put on a really good talk for us, and they were really well. All I'd say is they're Canadian, and they were very Canadian, and they were really polite and really nice, and they did what they needed to do, and they were just really nice guys. But one of the funnier technical stories is we like you guys are using Twitch to stream everything for the convention and stuff like that. And one event, again remains nameless, decided that they wanted to use some bad language in the stream, and something we never thought of. And it Twitch decided, yeah, we're giving you a warning. At which point we had to pull the event because they're like, oh, we have like 800 people currently viewing this. We can't have that happen. And then there was another issue we had at a later stage where for people who don't know Twitch has like an auto moderation thing in the background, especially when you get to a larger size channel. Another note to make with Twitch is for the Confuzzled Twitch, we don't usually stream anything during the year. So we have basically zero viewership for 11 months and 2 weeks of the year. We've got nothing. And then suddenly we jump from having zero to having 800 people in a matter of minutes. And that kind of ended up with us going, oh, bugger. What do we do? So we had these auto moderation tools and stuff, and they're very sensitive. If you don't put the words in with the right capitalizations, or if it's two words and you don't put it in 2 words and 1 word. We also got shadow banned for the use of grey muzzle, of all words. Grey muzzle nearly got us banned off Twitch because it was like, why is everyone spamming this in the chat? Stop spamming grey muzzle in the chat. It's not fault. It's not okay. And Twitch was like, that's a bad
giving
word.
People a bad intention right now in Twitch.
I'm telling nobody, do not spam grey muzzle in the chat. It will break Twitch. Twitch will be like, what is this new hip word that people are using to curse at other people? But we had this going on, and Paul, again, our video team were absolutely amazing. Between 2 of them, they were able to continue the stream going, fix the problems with Twitch, fix everything, just like keep everything just nice and stable and going. It was absolutely fantastic. But yeah, we it was one of those things that you just kind of at the time going, why is this happening? Why?
So if I could jump on a little bit, we actually had a similar issue where we had to pull a panel in the middle. Our first VR chat panel, the Cooper Tom Show, with hello ARM. We had with this, we're actually using Discord for audio. So it mutes properly. It separates out everyone nicely. The quality's very high. With that, we didn't really know any better, and we were just using VR chat audio, which if you have, I think there was something like 15 or 20 people in the room all talking at once. And we also didn't have the ability to stream in stereo. So in VR chat, if someone's over here, you hear them, in your right ear. And if someone's over here, you hear them in your left ear. And if you sum it to mono and properly, you end up with this garbled mess. And we had about 20 minutes of panel, and it just got so bad. We had everything running through a console, and we were just, trying to figure out how to fix it. We were trying to get it audible because you basically couldn't hear anyone. And finally, we went to a backup content, and then immediately after that, the VR chat world crashed because there are too many people in that instance. So we were like, all right, I guess we're not continuing this. So Cooper, Tom, I know you did stuff with the dance comp. We're really sorry. We had so many technical issues with that. It's our fault. We screwed up on that.
Come on, Freeze. We have to thank you very much for that, because especially our people here at Eurofurence knew about the problem and, well, could rectify it then for the dance competition.
Yeah, it was just like I sent a sample to someone. They're like, what happened? And they're like, I can't understand anything. And it's like, that was the problem.
I actually didn't knew about this, to be honest, because I don't know what happened the last days. I spent the whole time trying to fix last minute issues. But yeah, we are very experienced with VR chat problems, so it was always clear to us that we would not host a dance competition where you can actually be in the recording instance. And we would also manage that there is always only one person backstage waiting for the next dance, and everyone else would leave and be in a different waiting instance. So yeah, we don't know about those issues.
Want to talk about the trailer?
The trailer.
The crazy rush with the trailer.
Oh, the crazy rush. So we wanted to have a trailer, and we wanted to be a special trailer. So we went into the hotel, but in order to shoot the trailer, we needed the world to be finished. So we couldn't do it earlier. So the only day we could do it is drive there on Monday, shoot it on Tuesday, and then on Wednesday drive home. And so we shot it on Tuesday. And like in the hotel with Fursuiters, our opening trailer, and they wanted to show it on Friday, but we didn't have the audio there, and I got the audio 1 hour before. Like we wrote the script, basically finished it, and
2 hours before it aired. The voiceover, I directed the voiceover for half an hour from that point, and then it was. And
then 1 hour before, I had 1 hour to cut it. And that was so stressful. Like video editing is always stressful when you have like a deadline, but like do it in 1 hour, go. That was chaotic. Yeah,
we had something similar with closing for ours, where closing ceremony didn't exist until I think immediately before the dance comp, and I think I hit render the second the dance comp started. So I was doing the editing for it, and we had a 2 hour chunk where we could have fixed things that basically anyone who could have fixed it was busy, because we had every single team member that was working on something working on the dance comp. So I think the first time a lot of people saw that on our team was when it played out live, and during which there was a couple jokes where people were like, should we have put that in? Because we all sat together and we wrote it, and we shot it super quickly, and we didn't really think about too much. And after the fact, we started having second thoughts of like, maybe we should have edited some of or asked people if we can make fun of them like that. But once you kind of get going, if you have a deadline, it doesn't matter if it's done; it has to play.
But Belton, did actually Ferality had any kind of video? I don't remember that.
Yeah, so big thank you to Song Redwood. He edited our videos. So we had like a short little skit commercial that we recorded to promote the convention. But while the convention was going on, we realized we need to give this a proper closing. This is we need to talk about what we were able to accomplish, and a really nice gift that we got and surprise was our charity Save a Fox Rescue sent us a video including a cute little screaming fox for us to show the attendees. So I was able to record like a quick video for our closing ceremonies, but pretty much right after that we did it live for the rest of our closing ceremonies. We didn't even have a chance to rehearse. We just kind of went down and it all went smooth. So I'm thankful for that. But I sure was nervous with all of our events going on, managing those, and trying to do video. It's a lot at once. So very glad that I had a team helping out.
I can feel you there. I currently have a lot of messages right in my background about the closing ceremony that is happening in half an hour. And I can't help them because I'm here. It's very interesting.
That was my problem.
I will actually I'll add one on story onto the side of that one. So the last day when we were doing Virtual Confuzzle, we had I did the opening morning video, said good morning to everybody, and unfortunately I did have a doctor's appointment that day as well. It just happened to be on a Sunday, and I said to somebody, "Oh, if I get like 15, 20 people saying, oh, I want a T-shirt, I might think about doing a Virtual Confuzzle T-shirt." And I thought no more of it, and I happened to say it to one of the people who was running an event that day, Medosai, who was doing a live charity art stream that day. I went into the doctor, and it was a type of appointment where I couldn't have my phone on, couldn't have my phone anywhere near me. And come out, they've done their stream, Medosai's done their stream, and I come out to 55 messages from 55 people I don't know. And I look at my phone and I see my phone is completely lit up. And just as I look at my phone, the doctor goes, "Oh, I need to talk to you about one more thing." So I have to go back into the doctor, chat to the doctor. And I'm like, what the heck is this 55 message about? It's just like, we want a T-shirt, we want a T-shirt, we want a T-shirt, we want a T-shirt. So I just had I had to make like a copy paste message to send to all of them. So I do apologize. And that's the only way I can get you all those messages. But the be all and end all of that is, first off, we also had a second issue. Because I can actually see somebody messaging me on the side here, the deputy of Dealers Den, who has been extremly patient with us. We unfortunately had to name it Operation Little Fucky Wookie.
Why?
So I thought I got all the permissions I needed. I didn't. I'm sorry. And I started doing it one way. It then turned out I was actually breaking the systems for the finance guys. And they were like, "Oh, we can do it this other way. We've got this new platform. We can use all of this to take all the card payments and all that. It'd be fantastic. No problems at all." The company, which will remain nameless, decided that what should take one working day took 2 weeks.
Ooh.
And then they still said no. To which we had to change everything again, and we got there in the end. I now have sitting in my spare bedroom, I've got about 65 T-shirts that should all be shipped off this week. So if anyone has been at Confuzzle and bought one of the T-shirts and you haven't received the T-shirt yet, it should be in the mail this week, and you should have it by the latest next week.
Thank you. I ordered one of those.
Yes, it should be on the way. They look amazing. I will say, we use the artwork of the person who did who put out that message to message me to talk about if you want a T-shirt. They did an amazing piece of artwork of Brock the Badger, who's our mascot for Confuzzled.
Badger.
He's a badger.
Yes.
Brock.
Another badger. It's not the deer here. So sit down.
But I think when
No one
makes
a badger avatar.
I think when we talk about deadlines, we need to mention our dance competition.
I think there was something about 10 minutes that you actually stepped in and had everything done.
Yeah, so there are a couple of things to mention here. First, I woke up on Saturday and I realized, so on Friday night, like at 1 a.m. on the Saturday actually, so we finished fixing the last bugs in the STK3 world of where we are in right now. And then I woke up on Saturday. I was like, we promised people that they can watch the dance competition from within VRChat. We should have an SDK2 built as well. So I tried migrating it to SDK2. Didn't went well. Hayu at some point stepped in and told me, you need to export everything as a Unity package, make a clean product. Yeah. So I did that.
It wasn't clear. We're using, the scripting system in VRChat, but that uses a different way of building the world. So you have a newer version. But on the newer version, they disabled video players because people were using them to export data they shouldn't be. So yeah, we can only have the video player running in an older version of the development kit. So we needed a separate world that used that version, and yeah. It was,
So I had to make a new project SDK to pump it in there, get a view player in. Have never done that before. Was thankfully not too hard. I realized our own Twitch doesn't display video. Like we got audio feed in, no video. Luckily, I just changed it to BBF, and he worked in our instance. I don't know why, so we went with the EFO live stream. Not a bad decision because then people can watch everything. But I wanted to have both, like in that, just didn't work out. So and then at the same time, I also had to assist Notfish, who was still finishing code, and had to constantly upload the changes because he's kind of blind coding an editor without knowing, like without ability to test. And testing code in VRChat isn't that simple. You cannot test it in editor, everything. So what we had to do at some point is he always gave me the new code. I imported it, I uploaded it, and then our playtester could test the new world. And then the dancers wanted to have a waiting room with a portal to the live stage. And so we had those two builds. And then we had the public viewing build, and we had this build which also needed changes last minute. So I was at some point uploading and compiling with 3 different Unity projects at the same time. And that corrupted our assembly for the live stage world. So everything was gone all of a sudden. And now if that happens, and you know that it can happen, you can still like not save, just close Unity. Like after clicking on re-import on the Udon scripts, and that will recover hopefully all the assemblies, and that worked out for us. So very lucky there. And then we had to put those last minute changes in, and until 10 minutes before, one of the cameras wouldn't work, and that was a camera that is in the auto camera mode, and a lot of other things also didn't work, and so we had no time to test it. I got 10 minutes before the show. I got everything in. I uploaded it. I said we need to do this now. Whatever works. So we went in there. Just needs one error, by the way, to crash everything in an instance. So
no, Ramajo, what you're actually telling there sounds pretty much like a Paw Patrol right now. So
yeah.
I don't know if you realize that.
Well, what we did then is just go with it. Go in there. And I was managing the show, and doing the show like 1 quarter in, one of the buttons broke. I don't know how that is even possible, because that button only flips a Boolean around, nothing else. But it just stopped working. I couldn't press it anymore. I was like, oh shit. Everything else kept working. I couldn't reverse directions. Was okay. We could like somehow still manage it. And I was under the stage doing the video panel stuff. And then the attendee before my dance part, because I also wanted to dance in the competition, the attendee before didn't show up. And that screwed all my plannings, because I needed those 2 minutes to set up the camera system for my own character height. I didn't got the time. I had to rush on stage because they were like, oh, where's Ramajo? Where's... And I was like, guys, give me some time. Maybe explain it to the viewer. They wouldn't explain it. They acted like there's an attendee missing and they need to also cut my performance. So I just rushed on the stage. I wasn't able to even lock my gesture properly and stuff like I wanted to do, or get set up. So when I started to dance, I completely tangled in my cable, knocked out everything in my room because I didn't have time to align my play space properly. And but I think my performance was still okay-ish. It was
it was great.
Terrible.
I would have never known.
It was definitely
it was
great
terrible for me, at least. It was terrible for me. And then I had a button. I had a button to get the camera controller up on stage for me, and to switch again to the judges, and that button didn't work. And we never tested it. And I was there staying still, like cool and all, and trying to trigger my menu button, and like I need to press 7 times to trigger that function. It just doesn't work. And and then the auto camera just was locked.
A very good point here, especially with the regards that you maybe have a possibility in the future. Because we are slowly running out of time, and we have still the one question here that people actually came for.
But before we jump out, I checked Telegram while you guys were talking. Someone reminded me of a horror story. We accidentally showed a horse giving birth on stream.
What?
Oh, Jesus.
Why?
What?
Why
So-
not
I'm just
do
gonna lie
that?
down and give me a second.
Which
Yeah.
one? I don't know how I forgot about that. Two. So we had all of our DJs coming in remotely, except for one. Protocoli, who kind of co-chaired it with me, is one of our DJs. And when we asked him, we had a TV screen. We had a little studio set up, basically, where I did opening and closing and the Q&A for the fandom. We set that up as a little DJ booth, and we had the screen. So we said, "What do you want on behind you?" And he said, "Go on YouTube and search for a nature documentary about horses." And so we did, and we didn't have time to actually watch it. So we hit play, and this was probably 11-ish at night. I had work very early the next morning, so I drove home, and I basically was watching the stream as I was going to bed. And I just see behind him pops up a mother horse presenting the miracle of life. He's DJing away. And so, of course, I am like wide awake. I call whoever I could, whoever's numbers I had. And finally, someone picks up and they're like, "Hey, what's up?" And it's like, change the background to literally anything else. There's a horse giving birth on stream. And they're like, "Oh, crap." Because there was there was a DJ after him that they were having so many problems with that everyone was focused on that. So we basically, no one was watching for a minute, and that one particular minute was the only time that there was anything really weird. So we accidentally showed a mother horse giving birth to a very cute baby horse in full detail on stream.
Gosh.
Perfectly fitting to the sound of the stage, I think.
Yeah.
Not bad. I think we have a far more and a lot more stories that we can tell. And we would think probably at that point also just to pretty much go like a revolver and just shoot it out. However, we have only 10 more minutes. So I would really like to go to a question that we stated in our very much beginning. And that is, will virtual conventions stay?
Easy answer. I mean, the EFO happened in this place now, and we also wanted to push the release for that. But our world is a few months old now, and people join there every day. So for us, like, the convention started months ago, and it will just never end, right? So you can just come in here every day, and you can enjoy all the fun. And we built stuff into the space for people to hold events in, and we will further improve that. And what we want is that like different conventions and events like take place in this world, and we will do our best to support them. Like the camera system, we didn't only wrote this for our dance competition. This is something that we want to push into the live build, and then everyone can make cool videos or make a dance competition themselves. And that's kind of the idea of this whole project, that like every day you can have a con. And we will also try to make like special days, special weekends where we do maybe another dance competition, or maybe someone wants to hold a panel. But for us, it's every day that people can be at the con.
Yeah. For me, what we see here is examples of people who've had a few days, a few weeks, or maybe a few months to work on different cons, and we've seen the result of these different sort of amounts of time that people have available, and what those different amounts of time, what you can do the best with that amount of time. And I'm wondering now, what if someone has a year? What if someone has several years? What if someone starts something and just continues developing it? Would we end up transcending VR chat and having our own application? That's what I wonder about. I think that would be quite a hard thing to achieve, because right now the VR space is certainly very hobbyist focused. Since there's, we're kind of on the edge of VR being mainstream, and it's not quite there yet. So we aren't seeing much commercial interest yet, as it's not particularly profitable for teams of more than a few people. Therefore, the innovation you see is very much hobbyist made. And you still see all the corporate types. They don't understand it at all. They think that all this stuff is yet to occur. If you told them that there'd already been a VR convention, the stock market probably changed considerably. But they have absolutely no idea of what we're doing, because it's all hobbyist led. So I'm wondering just how far this can be taken.
Yeah, the commercial con spaces are horrible. If you look up images of like companies trying to make a virtual convention space, it's just horrible.
Corporate music on loop, corporate music to study and chill to, and then just imagine freely, and you'll see it in your head.
I would say one thing aside from that. Yeah, I do feel like the VR is only starting to come into its fruition now. Like the company I work for at the moment now, we're specifically research based. We're government funded research based. And we're now starting to use things like VR to look at getting into our machines and things like that, being able to move robots around inside a virtual world before we move them around in a real world. It's quite interesting. But yeah, I think we're just on the cusp at the moment. I think we're probably maybe 6 months to a year before we start seeing decent virtual conventions. No, obviously this is fantastic. Hey,
I don't know about that.
but but on a commercial scale, on an absolute commercial scale, like this is an amazing. Like this is about as professional as I think you can get it. But talking to Hayu and looking at Hayu's work, all Hayu's work is professional. It's absolutely
Hey,
So
They're up to this too.
Yeah,
Is my
I
work
know, but
not-
like looking at your other work as well. What I'm saying is, if you look at your body of work, you have that professional level of work, and it really shows in what's happening here and what's happening with everyone else around here. Like,
So my answer, if virtual conventions will stay, is an easy yes, because we've, ever since we finished up the first Virality Online experience, we knew we had to throw another one. It was just, there's so many other things we wanted to do, so many things we wanted to improve. So we've been hard at work already, and I'm sure the next 2 months leading up to November, when we're going to have the next Virality Online experience, will just be a lot of work, but so worth it. We've been in close cooperation with VR Chat. We've brought some really helpful people to our team, and I'm sure from this point to when we hold the next one, every release of VR Chat, every month that goes by, we get new people from the fandom joining. We get new features. We have the Avatars 3.0 system now to really make our avatars so much more expressive. And we're so excited to share an event that's really based on the bringing the panels, the meetups, the things that are not only just fun, also educational, also social to VR Chat. So I don't think that virtual conventions in any way replace physical conventions, but I think that it's a place to celebrate this somewhat new medium. Virality is not just a convention that takes place in VR, it's a convention about VR, and it celebrates the avatars, the worlds, the things that our fandom is creating, like Virtualfurence in VR, in VR Chat. So I think that we have a place amongst the physical conventions, and it's certainly our intention to stay around.
Okay, thank you.
just
Reese, would you agree on that point?
So I think I kind of have a different view of virtual conventions, because there's kind of two ways to look at it. The way I see it is kind of as a mixed media thing, instead of just VR Chat. And the way we did it with Anthrocon was video was the primary thing. We were a live stream. And I think you start running into a point where you have a content issue. It's easy to get a lot of people to back it, but you need people to run panels, you need people to organize events. And I think from the aspect of that, people will start doing their own things more than they'll start going on to a convention, just because the internet's open like that. You can do whatever you want. Things like this with VR Chat, I think will continue to grow. I've certainly had a lot of fun wandering around, this hotel virtually. I've never been to actual Eurofurence, but
come on.
Seeing money, seeing this space actually makes me really want to go, because it's gorgeous, it's stunning.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't think it's going to be a replacement, but I think they're going to continue, at least. We're gonna see kind of an improvement over the next year or two. And I think people are just going to get used to it and expect it after that. along with your in-person events. Just because with VR you can talk with people more than you can talk with them on Telegram. You kind of get a sense of actually being in the room with them. So I think we're going to see it for a long time. Just hopefully in a different space, in a different kind of event than the real conventions, because damn, do I miss actually seeing my friends in person.
Just as one clarity on the previous point I was making, I didn't want to denegate anybody in that, but I'm just saying, I'm a big advocate for things like open source software, OSS, GNU and whatnot, and I've seen in previous iterations of different types of programs and stuff, you see the professional grade stuff coming down, but the level of, say, inverted commas amateur. I'm using that very loosely because it's very high quality amateur stuff that's come true. Like, you guys have programmed something amazing, but it's only for this, as well as having packages and libraries and stuff like that to come out of it would be great. But to answer my side of the question on it is, I don't think this is going to replace conventions. I don't think this is going to in any way take away from anything. But it's definitely opened our eyes at Confuzzled to what is possible. Like, we had our virtual dealers then, which I think went down really well. And some of the issues that we came across when we were doing virtual dealers then as well. How does that work, and how is that going to work if there's a real world convention going alongside it? Some of the tools that we wanted to implement for years but never had the chance or energy to, we now had a little bit of extra space that we never had before, that we were able to implement it here. But I think it's definitely becoming something like a more mixed media, as well as you can have VR events for people who can't attend the convention, like you say yourself, frees money. Especially, like, we do have a good number of US and North American based attendees that come to the likes of Eurofurence and Confuzzled, but for those people to be able to get involved with very little barriers in the way, they just need a half decent computer and possibly a VR headset. You don't need, like, I'm not even using a VR headset. I don't know if anyone could tell because my character is so emotive.
I have to unfortunately make a cut here, but I think that we all agree here that virtual spaces will be an advancement. It will not get in the way of physical conventions, but will give the fandom a possibility for something new in the future. Something that is completely different to what we may do with the physical conventions that are hopefully coming up for the next years again, and that we will hopefully bring it back for everyone who's watching. So in that regard, I want to thank everyone here who actually made their convention. And of course, thank you very much for joining this very much lovely talk here. Thank you, Freeze. Thank you very much, G-Shap. Thank you, Dalton. Thank you, Hayu. Thank you, Romaggio. And also, thank you very much for Cars Ferret, who actually did the cameraman here for us. So
Cast!
Also,
Woohoo!
Cast! Woohoo!
to also give his Twitch channel a view later on. He was so kind and do the camera for us here, so it doesn't look too stale while here being, watching just a talk in VR chat. Anyhow, we have to close it down because we have the closing coming up. So thank you very much, everyone, and I hope to see you around.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thanks, everyone. Bye.